All right, guys, another little spiel here for you. One of the things I run into a lot, especially with people looking to lose some body fat as their primary goal, is I hear the term a lot about they just want to tone up, but they don't want to like get real big and muscly. They just want tone. So just want to dispel some myths and delusions here on this one. Muscle tone is a couple things. It's a combination of losing body fat and building muscle. So if you're someone who you haven't really done anything really active, whether it's running 5Ks or lifting weights or anything, for a number of years, you've just been like a 9-to-5 desk warrior, and then come home and pop on the TV because you're stressed and you just don't have the energy to do other stuff, chances are you just don't have a lot of muscle mass. So if all we do is strip away your body fat, you're not going to be toned. You're just going to be skinny, and you won't have any muscle tone because there's not a lot of muscle to tone. So a perfect example of this is two good examples of this. First is you look at like world-class marathoners, like guys finishing 2 hours and under on the marathons. Their body fat percentage is probably really low. I mean, we're talking, 10% or under. But they don't look toned. They almost look like skinny fat. And it's because for endurance purposes, you don't need big muscles. So your body's gonna keep whatever fat it can to keep you alive and as an energy storage, and it's going to ditch all the muscle that takes a lot of energy that you're trying to be given into your cardio activities. So you're left with kind of in my opinion, gross skeleton-y looking frame that's skinny, but zero tone. So that is one side. The other side is if you've ever seen someone or had someone in your life that's anorexic. This is another great example, and one of the things that's so hard for them mentally is they don't eat, they lose a ton of weight, they're rail thin, but because they don't have any muscle giving their body form, because muscle can't survive without some calorie intake, they still feel fat because they're skinny, but nothing looks good and shapely because there's no muscle to support it. So that's kind of what you get when you're not building muscle as you're losing fat. The vast majority of bodies that guys and gals are seeing in magazines that they want to look like are people who lift weights and do some cardio and pay attention to their diet and maybe do some other things that aren't super legal. But the strength training and the building muscle part is definitely a piece of their program that you're just mentally not seeing. So we need to change your mindset of, I don't want to get huge and muscly, but I want to be toned, because tone comes from building muscle. For most people, you're not going to get huge and muscly because it takes some very directed and intentional things to do that, unless you're just super genetically prone to building a lot of muscle. So I know with me, like, I'm a pretty big guy. I'm about 250. I got some muscle on me. I'm decently lean. But for me, I am actively trying to hit more than 200 grams of protein per day. Now, you try to do that and tell me that you'll be able to accidentally do that and oops, now I have huge muscles. Like, it just doesn't work like that. It takes years of the right kind of training to build muscle and years of eating enough food and enough protein to support that muscle growth. So let me obey your fears. If you're lifting weights, you will not get giant and jacked unless you're doing a lot of things in the kitchen to make it that way as well. And most training programs, sure, you go to a boot camp, maybe you're just doing push-ups, sit-ups, but you're doing some form of bodyweight resistance training, you're gonna build muscle. It's just not gonna be to the point of Phil Heath, Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia bodybuilder level, for a lot of reasons. Partially is due to performance-enhancing drugs, partially due to food intake, partially due to the type of training they do. So typically, if you're one of my fat loss clients, we have a combination of things going on. We have some cardio interval type work, we have some long-distance cardio stuff, we have some weight training, but it's always built in the form to primarily burn fat and secondarily build some muscle, but your risk of getting huge and bulky and giant muscle-bound Hulk type person is very low, especially if you're a woman, because you just don't have the right hormones to get super huge and jacked without some serious effort on your part. So there you go. Hope that helps. Hope that gives you guys a little bit of guidance and a little bit of thought into your training programs here, and go lift weights. You won't get super huge and jacked unless you're eating a ton of food as well. So there you go.